Hi, everybody, or one buddy, or two buddy, or everybody. Hi, guys. You know Jane. Hi,
Hello,
Jane. How you doing?
Sean.
Good. Dan. Okay, we got Diane. Hello. Hi, Finn. Sean. Mwah, mwah. Welcome to the Blue Crew. Who else we got? We got Lisa 54. And I can't see my thing went away again. Geez, gosh darn it. You guys have to bear with me. My internet is still really screwy, so Jane might be on here alone, awkward for a minute, but
No,
you be nice to her. Okay.
don't leave me on my own.
I'll try not to, hon. I'll really try not to. But you know, when you get those appointments with Xfinity, they like take their time. They don't care what you have to do. They don't care. They don't care if you got a business and you have to have
No.
internet or whatever it is. They'll come on their time. But anyway, so what's new with you?
So I've just recently been to the event with Jerry at Keele University.
Yeah, I just seen something with him, and I can't wait to hear, because I just took a peek, which the description's down in the link for it, to watch this one that he did in Georgetown University. I found it really fascinating. The audio kind of sucks on it. Hi, Mario. But Jane, if it's anything like what he was talking about, what you're going to tell us, I am so excited to hear about it. I am telling you, I'm really excited.
It's the second time I've seen him now. I'm just putting my hands here because I start messing with my hair and everything because I get nervous.
That's right. Don't let them know. Don't let them see you sweat. You know they're going to use it against you.
I'm sitting on my own.
What I do is just look at me. We're on a telephone call.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's on my own this time. So,
was it full? Was it packed full of people?
Yeah. So it was at a university. So not only was he, and I would think there was some sort of people that have watched MAM, and there would have been law students there as well. Sort of students practicing law.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he obviously spoke on stage, and yeah, it was pretty packed. It was quite full, but he's doing a tour at the moment, and he's been to a lot of places in the UK. So he was doing a night at each different university.
Okay. So were you on the first night or the last night?
Yeah. No, we were quite the way through. I think tonight is his last talk, and I think that's maybe down in London. Oh, I know he hasn't, Sue. Not near me. He hasn't. He didn't go to the southeast, but I think tonight is his last one, and I'm sure that was in London. I think it's in London somewhere.
Okay. Well, you said you seen him last year too.
So yes, in June. Yeah. But it wasn't just him. That was Dean Strang, Lauren Ryder, and Jerry and Steve Drizzen, and there was also a few other people there talking as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was at the Hammersmith Apollo, and quite a few of us from the Twitter gang, we all went to see that. That was good.
Yeah. Is it what? Well, I want to know is, was it different this year in his talk because he was by himself? Did he give up more, or I mean, was it more relaxed?
Yes, because a lot of it was mostly he talked about making a murderer, and a lot of what I will be telling you, and a lot of what he said is a lot of what we know anyway. But it's just still so fascinating. It's just to hear, because he was there in real time. He looked through it, you know. He defended Stephen, and that's why, you know, although I sat there and I knew most of what there was a couple of things I didn't know. But this time, for last time, they didn't have much, you know, they only had a short amount of time. So some of it was a little bit about Brendan, and Jerry and Dean, you know, touched upon, but it wasn't anywhere nearly as much as what Jerry was talking about on Tuesday night. So it was very much Making a Murderer based.
Great. I cannot wait for you to just tell me what is. Yeah, let's say hi to everybody. Hello. One drop. Martha, my friend. Hello. See the new hair?
I love the new hair.
Oh gosh, it's a big change, I'll tell you. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do it. What the hell? I'm 57. What do I got to lose?
Do it.
Besides 50 pounds, you know what I mean?
So I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, you know, being a little daring. But so I want to ask you, did he say anything about Kratz? I mean, you know, come on, let's get some dirt on the dude. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. So, he'd go through each little bit that he was talking about, which I'll go through it all in a minute. But every now and again, it'd pop in like memes, like, you know, memes that people have made on Twitter.
Yep.
And there was this, one of Kratz as a Sith out of Star Wars. I can't remember what did it say now, but we were just all crying, laughing. I mean, he didn't obviously he didn't talk derogatory of Ken, but you know, yes, very professional.
Yes.
But he's got such a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's very funny.
So is he?
Yeah, well, he came on. So the music, before he came on stage, he had like some Pink Floyd music and some other music on. And he came onto stage and he said, oh, if you were expecting like a rock band or some great comedian, he was like, I'm sorry, you've just got me. I was like, it's fine.
Yeah, that's all we came for. But, you know, at least he's kind of laid back then and easygoing, you know, just kind of flows with it. Or does it seem real scripted?
No, he just all flows. He had his little, like his projector up with the things that he was flicking through. But it was just boom, 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 boom. And I think at the end, it's supposed to really, because it went over quite, because it was supposed to finish at 9, and it did go over. I would say, I can't even remember now. It was maybe half an hour over at least.
Well, that's great for you guys.
Yeah, it was. But at the end, he is supposed to at the end because of all the students in there. And he did do a bit of a legal talk for them about, you know, people wanting to become a defense lawyer and such. So he did touch upon that at the end, but probably not nearly as much. It was because everyone was asking, you know, questions, because there was people that had written down questions, which the guy who introduced him, he picked, you know, the questions that he to ask,
ones that
so
he could
picked them off a sheet, and then he did come into the audience for people to put hand up. So quite a lot of people had the hand up, but then it just ran out of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did have our hands up, but we did let sort of the other people ask the questions, because obviously we ask him on Twitter all the time, and he and Jerry's very good for that. If you DM him on Twitter and if you've got any questions, he's always he'll get straight back to you and he will answer.
I was just going to ask you, did he recognize when you went up to him? Did you get to see him?
Yeah.
Did you tell him who you were? Hey, I'm Jane from Twitter, or does he know you?
He knew already.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Well, he already knew we were coming, so yeah. But he was like, "Oh, hey, Jane, nice to see you again." You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he refuse to answer anything? I mean, did somebody ask him something? He said, "No, I can't say that because I might go to court." Or
yeah, I mean, he did nothing that anybody specifically asked him, but he did. I can't remember what the question was, but he did actually say to something. He said there are some questions that I can't answer and I won't, because obviously if there is a retrial, and I'm called as a witness. He said, obviously, you know, I don't want to say anything. So he did actually say there are questions that he can't answer, but everything that everybody was asking him, he was quite happy to answer. I mean, obviously, one of the main questions a lot of people always ask him, and he's dead happy to answer, because him and Dean were named in the latest brief of ineffective assistance of counsel. So the main question here, do you hold any resentment to KZ, or do you have any bad feeling? And his answer is a simple no. She absolutely has to do that, because there's only to get a retrial, or to, you know, to I've gone off track. Yeah, if there's only 3 reasons, and it's Brady violations or ineffective assistance of counsel. So he said, I'm not perfect. I'm human. We make mistakes. You know, there was thousands of pages of discovery to go through in just a certain amount of time. So obviously we made mistakes. We'll hold our hands up, and, you know, we don't hold any, you know, ill will towards KZ. They're all, you know, whatever questions, they handed everything over that they possibly could when she took over the case. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. They're cooperating. I mean, I remember them saying something.
Definitely cooperating.
Right. I think I remember them saying something about it, you know, on MAM2 or somewhere. Are you offended by her, you know, them saying you didn't do a good job or whatever? And he said, no, you have to call out what you have to call out. And, you know, they would be doing the same thing for their client, if it, you know, for him, if it was that way and it was her. Right. So I get that, you know, but I'm really glad they're going to be cooperative, because, you know, they didn't do nothing there. They just had their hands tied in a lot of spots.
Yes.
You know,
and that's what I'm saying. It, you know, as far as a lot of things were concerned, they had their hands tied so many times, especially with like Denny suspects.
Right.
And they weren't allowed to, you know, bring these things up. And I think that's why a lot of people say, well, you should have done this, and why didn't they do this, and why didn't they do that? And people forget that you know, a lot of things were ruled against, and Judge Willis ruled against them.
Right.
And then once that happens, that's it. You know, they can't bring it up.
Did he speaking of that right now, when you're saying, like, you know, the judge did he happen to mention about, like, the jury guy leaving, and, you know, calling if they could have had you know, a mistrial, or, you know, any of that? Because I heard him talk about it once, and I just don't want to give it away if he did, you know, say what he said. But did he go on that, like, say, well, we really didn't have no choice, we had to do it that way, or that was Stephen's choice, or, you know what I mean?
He actually didn't mention that one, as far as I know. But I've asked him that question before. I DM'd him, and I said to him, so when Richard Marler was excused as a juror, there's 3 options they get, aren't there? They can either go for a mistrial, they can ask for a different person. What's the third? There's a third reason as well. Mistrial, another juror, or
continue the way they are.
I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, he said they couldn't do another trial because Stephen just didn't have the money.
You're right. So he wouldn't
do it. So he wouldn't have been able to afford it. So then they picked another juror, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they took one from the juror.
There's 3 things that can happen. And I can't think of the third one now.
I thought it was continued with what the ones they have.
Continue. Yeah. Continue with what they've got. Pick another one, or
mistrial. Right.
Yeah.
So and he said that he would have never been able to afford that.
Yeah, he said they discussed it with Stephen, and that was all. That was decided, between them, because he couldn't have afforded to.
Yeah. Do you think it's? I mean, it's really nice to. I mean, I don't know how to word it, but I think it's nice that you get to hear straight from him what some of the angles are there. Because we sit here and we speculate on everything. Not on everything. We have facts to go by, but the scenario of it is a speculation. So hearing from him, like, is there anything, like, just start telling me things that he, because I don't even really know what to ask you. I wouldn't even know what to ask him. Like, well, I'd have so many questions. I'd be like, well, geez, let me see. Can you do this one? I would go crazy, So if you just want to start hitting on some things, go right ahead.
Yeah, so he started off by talking about the reason that the documentary came about, and they agreed to do the documentary to give people the chance to see what actually really goes on behind the scenes. So, and obviously with MAM, it was very raw. You saw everything. So that's kind of how he started off. He also sort of talked about how long he's been practicing law, and he has his own look with his wife, because his wife is a partner in his law firm. So that's how it kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on to talk about Brady violations, and the fact that, sorry, I'm just checking my notes here, because I was sat there through most of it. Just
you go right ahead and use your notes.
I was like scribbling away.
Go ahead.
So so he spoke about Brady violations, and then he went on to, I think he wanted to give, because he asked how many people in the audience had actually seen Making a Murderer. And I don't think there was many people that hadn't. It was like, just put your hands up if you haven't seen it. And I didn't see many people put their hands up. So unless they were embarrassed because they'd not seen it. But so he sort of gave a brief to talk about Teresa and what happened in the 85 case. Because obviously a lot of this does stem back to the 85 case. If it wasn't for what happened in 85, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened.
Well, I mean, she might have lost her life, but, Stephen wouldn't be in jail.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So
he did. Yeah. So he talked a bit about how he talks about Teresa. He talked about Penny Bernstein, and he talked about what's this? Sorry, I'm just clicking things off. So he talked about how Penny Bernstein sort of was a like, I don't know how to describe it. Not sort of different class to Stephen. So he was trying to give people a picture of like how she was a lot of things that Stephen wasn't. And you hear that in the documentary, because, they say she was a kind of an upstanding member of the community. So he went on to talk briefly about what happened that day. And he was talking about how, there's no possible way that Stephen could have done it, because of the he'd gone to the store with the 5 kids and Laurie, and there was a receipt with the time on, and just he just, as everybody knows, obviously we all know he was exonerated for it, but just giving people a brief,
run over it,
what happened. Then he sort of went on to talk about Gregory Allen. Yeah, and how he was being monitored at the time, and he was actually being followed at the time.
But that one day.
But that one day. as luck would have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he say anything about the key players that are like were in the Bernstein case, and then all of a sudden they're kind of thrown in the, you know, in the Teresa Halbach case? Did he say anything about the officers at all? Like, does he think they're suspicious, or is he not able to talk about? I would understand if he's not able to.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he doesn't go into sort of detail about it, but yeah, he talks about how he talks about. I'm losing my train of thought here. I knew this had happened.
Does he talk about Link or Colburn or?
Yeah, so he went into detail about. He did speak a lot about them, because he talks about how they were deposed in the first case, and then when it came to the second case, they shouldn't have even been there, obviously.
Yeah.
But of course they were. And then they were the people that found all the evidence.
Yeah.
So he did.
He finds that funny, or he didn't really, he just kind of said, well, this person was here and this person was here at the same time, and then we have them over here at the same time? Or did he give an opinion like, well, like, yeah, and coincidentally or just by circumstance, we have the same guy, you know?
Yeah, well, he said it shouldn't have he said it shouldn't have happened. You know, he said they shouldn't have even been near the Avery salvage yard.
Yeah.
So then he went, after that, he kind of went on to talk about Teresa and how obviously she was a photographer, she had a photography business, and that she'd done about 30 hustle shots that they knew about.
Oh.
Because there was always this thing about, not for Stephen in particular,
right?
But around that time, and that's something I didn't know, actually. But
I didn't know that either.
He gave a figure. Yeah, so she'd done about 30 hustle shots before she died. Not necessarily just for Stephen Avery, for others as well. But that just went to show that she did used to do hustle shots. It wasn't just.
And did they get checked out? Probably not, because the ex-boyfriend didn't. So, you know. Yeah, I don't think they got checked out. That's sad, because I never heard that before. That's quite a bit of other people that could have been suspects, you know? I mean, because they're strangers, you know? So, yeah, interesting. I'm sorry. Go ahead, hon. I'll keep you on your roll.
Yeah. No, it's fine. So once so obviously he talked a bit obviously about Teresa, and then he went on to talk about why they went down the line of using the police framing defense. He said, which obviously it wasn't a decision they took lightly, because it's not just something that you can because what did Tom Fallon say? Do so at your peril. You know, if you're gonna go down the police, if you're gonna go down the police framing of, you know, side things. So obviously he said him and Dean talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a decision that they came to lightly. Because back then, like nowadays, he was talking about how they use body cams, you know, for the police.
Right.
But back then they didn't use that. They didn't use them. Right. So he sort of talked about that a bit. And then he brought up this meme of the Monopoly board. And then
like my like my Twin City Anopoly right there. They have Manitowopoli.
Yeah, it's got the Manitowoc sign in the corner, and then every little piece is go to jail, go to jail.
Yeah, go to jail. So, I know, I heard that.
You know, and he just kept putting these memes in it was funny.
Oh,
it was very
funny. You know what? I gotta write down 30 extra hustle shots. I gotta write that down, Jane, or I'm gonna forget that, because that's kind of important, actually.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just something you just never heard. And that's good that you get to hear things that you never knew before.
Well, as I say, obviously a lot I did know, but there was some little bits that I went through and I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
did he elaborate very much on being able to hire experts at all? Was it because of his money, or was it late because I know I heard him in the link below, guys. I got there's a video that Buting did. I think it was March of last year, and it's not that old, and it's really I've never heard him talk about some of these things before, so it was really interesting, some of that stuff. And one of the things he says there is that they were given things like last minute, boom, 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 a ton of things, and it just was, it was like totally impossible for them to be able to do. Like, they asked for dispatch calls. Okay. Well, they asked for so many more, and they had known about them, I think he said 2 months that he had wanted them. And it's like the last week or so, or 2 weeks, he got them. And there was only not even all of the ones that they wanted. Okay. So he felt that they were holding something back there, and he said that they just didn't have time to go through that stuff that they requested earlier and got in late. Did he mention any of that to you?
He did put so he did say about the experts, about the he called the one about the EDTA.
Yeah.
He showed,
I don't know his name, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even think I wrote his name down. I can't remember.
One of them guys do.
Probably, but there was the lady that got up and spoke who.
What's her face? Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Eisenberg or whatever her name is. That lady.
So it was her,
that wrong lady.
That what?
Mark LeBeau.
What did you say, Linda?
I said
yes. That's it.
Mark LeBeau, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew someone would know in chat. Yeah. So and there was a picture of. He put pictures up of a lot of the different people. So then he went on to talk about what they found were the most damning things, and what they found very disturbing.
Right.
So first of all, he talked about the biggest thing, which was the RAV.
Right. He talked about the RAV.
Yeah. So he talked about the fact that obviously he had the crusher on the salvage yard, and the way he had the picture of the RAV, when it had all the trees and the bit of plank of wood against it, and so we talked about that and said, he found that suspicious anyway, just the fact that how it was found. And then he had
it looked funny.
Yeah. And then he put the picture up of Pam of God. So then he talked about how, he showed the picture of the salvage yard. And obviously back then there was thousands and thousands and thousands of cars on the salvage yard. And he drew the little map as to where she was and how quickly she found it. Well, we all know was it within like 20 minutes? She came onto the salvage yard and she found it within 20 minutes. And he did the line from MAM where he sort of said, she claims that God showed her the way. And he said, I never believed that. So, of course, everyone started laughing because we all know that line.
I don't think anybody bought that line.
No.
We're all in good company then.
Yeah. So then, and then he talked about, obviously there was a crusher on the salvage yard. So, when you've got something like that at your disposal, right. Why wouldn't he use the crusher? And then they got the logs for the searches, and they brought up a picture of Stephen's trailer.
Okay.
And of Stephen's, the little room, because all of he said that he got the call log. No, not the call logs, but like the logs of what was going on around that time. And there was 4 police officers searching that room for 2.5 hours in the beginning.
That room it's like a bathroom.
Like 4, it's like a tiny room, right? And then don't forget, the key was found on the 7th, 8th search, whatever. So you're not telling me 4 police officers are going in a tiny room like that, searching for 2.5 hours.
Not unless they're sleeping.
And that, yeah. And they don't see it.
What are they doing? Reading his mail letter by letter or something? Who the hell? I mean, they would have found, he couldn't have been shaking that cabinet for that hard a time, you know. And Kaczarski was looking for the aliens, you know, and Link goes, hey, there's a key. You know, I can just picture it. You're fucking bunch of fucking clowns, dude. Hello, I'm not even kidding you. Deedle dee, deedle dum dum, you know. He just, that pisses me off, you know. I mean, come on, you guys can't search a freaking bathroom size. Look, you know what? They probably were just feeling it out because it's probably the size of a jail cell. And if you can't, you can't search that fast, then what is the matter with you? We know you can't take down names and dates and where things happened and things didn't happen. You know, you could pay real good attention to the things that didn't happen, but the things that happened, it's all screwed up. Man, they all need new jobs. They all need to be fired. Phew, you're fired.
Yeah, for sure. Chad, I'll get to the bones in a minute, Chad.
Eric Banana Mana. My Jane, call worked, Diane.
Yes, Eric, I have the reason. Why? Why are we asking that?
Because she looked cute.
Anyway, so
didn't say shit about my purple hair, though.
Oh, that's you saying
about your dungarees. See, Diane, my call worked.
Yeah,
put out
so
the bananas and he'll come. Go ahead, Eddie. I'm just clowning, you know. And Chad, she's not reading your chat right now. You got to wait till afterwards, and then you could put them questions, and she might ask me.
Yeah, honestly, I will get to the bones in a minute because that is because he went through what they found questionable. So obviously, the first thing he spoke about was the RAV, and then obviously the trailer, and then how the key was found in suspicious circumstances. And then he talked about the key, how he was saying that obviously that was certainly not her key that she would have used in everyday use.
He said that. That's good. I'm glad the consensus.
The key. Yeah, because obviously there was no. If it was your key that you've used every day, they get sort of marks on your key, you know. And there was no light, but it was like a brand new key.
They get rub marks. Or, you know, wear marks. That's what it is.
There would be marks on it also. So he talked about how questionable the key was. And he said it was, you know, he said it was definitely a spare key. And then he obviously went on to talk about how there was no DNA on it whatsoever. Now, obviously, if that was your key and you'd been using it for the past 2 years...
Well, the lanyard would have it on there. That's cloth. You know, I mean, you would have stuff in that cloth and in the keys you'd have it.
In your keys, don't you? So you're not telling me that there was DNA of Stephen Avery's,
only
none whatsoever of Stephen's.
Yeah. I mean, come on, do we look stupid? Well, don't answer that. I might, but you know what?
Yeah, that was questionable as well. Yeah. So then and then because of obviously talking about that, he talked about Lincoln Colburn, and he brought more memes up of Lincoln Colburn.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then one of the third most was the blood in the RAV.
There, I was just going to ask him, what did he say about that?
Yeah. So he said when he first saw that, straight away, he thought that's been put on with like a Q-tip or a cotton bud, or he said you could just tell. You could just tell when he just saw that, that little swipe.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a dot and then a roll and then a roll. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Straight away, he said that was questionable because it just didn't look like, because they were saying it had come from this cut, and he was saying these are all things that were very, very questionable. And he said in the trial, when he brought it up, he said the state just ignored the fact. They just ignored the fact of how Steven Avery's blood got in there, because, like he said, if there was. He talks about the 8 sets of fingerprints that were found, and this is something I didn't know, but there was fingerprints found on the rear, the rear tailgate,
rear door,
the rear tailgate, which weren't Steven Avery's. Now he's obviously, and again, it's something it's what everybody knows anyway. But how do you you've got a cut on your finger? How do you go from getting blood into the RAV if you weren't wearing gloves,
right?
And then to not have any fingerprints,
right? And yeah, what did you do? Well, somebody just said the other day that I think Brendan might have said, "Oh, he cut it just before or just when he was driving. That it wasn't cut before that. He cut it while he was doing that." Well, even if you did it then, you'd still have blood everywhere. Look at his Grand Prix. Or his Grand Am or whatever that car was. There was blood exactly where it would be. Steering wheel, everything. So he found that very funny. Why didn't he say so in court?
Very questionable.
Why didn't he say it in court? They wouldn't let him, right? I mean, they kept. What was the Denny thing? Did he talk about that? Did he?
Well, the state.
The state just wouldn't let him. There's no reason. I don't know.
Well, he didn't actually. He named 2 of his Denny suspects, but he didn't mention. Well, actually, he did mention it. He did, because they said because they couldn't prove. Oh, they couldn't give a motive, because he couldn't give a motive for why they couldn't bring in the Denny suspects.
Okay, well, did Steven have a motive? What was his motive? Oh, that's right. He was in jail and he just hated women, right? That was the motive?
Yeah.
Or he was a sex-starved, pervert, psychopath, narcissistic psychopath that just had to have Teresa.
Yeah.
That's not much. I don't know. I think Ryan had bigger motives. I think that Manitowoc had bigger motives. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
crazy.
He obviously talked about these 8 sets of fingerprints, but still he doesn't know to this day whose the 8 sets of fingerprints belonged to. So
did he say why they just couldn't find a match at the time? Is that what he was they were told?
He didn't say.
That might be because he might go to court and have to talk about that.
You love to know who these fingerprints belong to.
I bet he does. For real.
Well,
I bet he does. I know I do. I mean, if I could sneak in there and cop them, I would, and go get them tested. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
I mean, unless he does know and he can't say because
going to court,
if he's getting called to be a witness,
right?
Which he did say, if he ever had to get called for a witness, he would obviously do it. He would obviously have to go and give evidence. So,
right.
So yeah, like I say, then obviously the state just ignored that. They didn't even in rebuttal. They just ignored the fact.
Mm-hmm.
What they were saying about the blood in the RAV, which he said they did about a lot of things.
So he found it frustrating, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, he found it very frustrating. Yeah, he did.
Did he I mean, did he elaborate on that at all? Did he say what I mean, like at the end of the day, was he like, geez, I can't believe we can't do this. We got to find another angle, or, because they're so limited on their legal, the way they do it legally. And then they got the judge who's obviously not helping them much.
No.
So did he feel that the judge was being biased, or?
He didn't say. No.
He's not really going to say too much mud, I would imagine. You know what I mean?
No.
He's a respectable professional, and he still has to, do his job, and might go to court. And I guess I can understand all that, but, so like, what else did he talk about?
Then he went on to Ken Kratz's press conference.
There we go.
Yeah. So he said that's one of the most watershed moments that he's ever seen in his career. It's one of the watershed moments in this case, because like he said, in the UK, that wouldn't have been allowed. They wouldn't have they would have been found in contempt if the prosecution were talking to the press about an ongoing case. He said, but in America, now I only, because I was trying to write quick, I couldn't write everything, but
it's okay, honey, you're amongst friends, who cares?
he did speak about, in America, something to do with the First Amendment for the press. I don't actually know what that means. So
okay, well,
just
I got this because I don't know. See this?
Oh, right, yeah.
This will tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And I'll scan it or something and put it out. But yeah, it's a good thing. The First Amendment is, let me just see. You can keep talking. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if I can, because it's written like, legal things, and I'm not real great at situated. But anyway, so it was the First Amendment, you said?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And because he was saying in the UK, if they would have been found in contempt for speaking to the press like that. So in America, they have something called the First Amendment to
right to something.
Yeah. I don't like it when I don't know.
That's all right. I don't like it either when I don't either. But I'm, today I might not have all my rocks to make a pebble pile. I don't know. I'm just looking. I don't even know how to look into this to even read. I've read this thing from cover to cover, but I didn't look for anything particular. So, and it was a long time ago. Okay, let's just see, because it says right what they are right in the beginning. First Amendment.
Yes, that might be it, Paul.
Just anybody out there? No, come on. Freedom of speech.
Yeah. Freedom of speech. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was freedom of speech, but what would they?
Yeah, that's what people are saying in chat. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a fair. Oh, is a right to a fair trial. Thank you, Diane. Yes. I knew it was something like that, freedom of speech, but I was thinking freedom of speech. That means they can talk about it, but it would alter a fair trial. Exactly, like it did. Like it did. So Kathleen's going in that anyway, isn't she? Going for his amendment rights being violated, I thought, or did that first job lawyers do that? They might have did that too. I don't know. I don't know all the motion, but go ahead. So that was dumb. Yeah.
Now, so obviously from the press conference, that's obviously how Brendan all came about, and he talked about the fact that Jerry was nearly Brendan's lawyer.
Really?
So on March the 1st, Jerry Butin joined the case. And then March 2nd, Brendan confessed. And what happened was Jerry and Dean were sat there in Dean's office talking about the case, because Jerry had just came on. And they got a phone call from a family member saying that Brendan had been arrested. So him and Dean discussed it and said, well, Brendan's going to need a lawyer. But because because Jerry knew some about the case already, it was a conflict of interest. So he couldn't been
conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but basically, if it had happened a week before that, Jerry could have been Brendan. Well, you know, if he didn't know what he knew about the case thus far, then he could have been Brendan's lawyer.
Yeah, I heard him on that other, you know, video that I got the description or the link down to. He was saying that the technique, he was talking about the technique they used on Brendan. Did he talk about that with you guys too, about the Reid technique?
The Reid technique, yeah. That okay. He did say that.
What did he have to say?
I have got it further on, so I'll come back to that one.
Okay, go ahead then. You take your, go ahead.
So when he talked about the press conference, he talked about how obviously it went live on 7 media channels. And then he said overnight, Stephen Avery he said, because they were the bad guys throughout this. Stephen Avery and Jerry Butin and Dean, they were like all the bad guys. And overnight from that press conference, Stephen Avery became this monster and Brendan, because of everything that was said, everything that Ken Kratz spewed out of his dirty, sweaty mouth.
Exactly.
Conference.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
It was probably just Ken Kratz's own sick fantasy.
I believe that. I believe that. I do. Has he ever seen that before? Has Jerry ever seen that before or since that happened? Where they have a press conference and just wail out things like, I've never seen that ever. When I watched it on the show, I was like, what? What is going on here? They didn't even check to see any of this stuff. How can they be out there saying all this stuff? You know what I mean? It's just like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he went on to talk about how Wisconsin is the longest state without the death penalty. And how
Minnesota.
They tried to bring it back again when this all happened. He said they couldn't even bring it back because then he said, how many people know about Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah.
So he slightly just touched upon like Jeffrey Dahmer, but just basically said how he'd killed was it 20 odd men or however many it was?
I don't even know.
Yeah. And so he talked about they couldn't it didn't even make it to ballot to bring it back when Jeffrey Dahmer, was.
I don't even remember ever having the death penalty in Minnesota, so I have no idea when.
Chanel just nearly took my eyebrows off.
Dang, girl, you ain't glad you ain't Sherry Culhane had that Aquanet in your area. We'd have seen a nuclear bomb. Boom! You better put that down. That's dangerous, girl.
I'm dangerous.
Listen, you are lucky you're not Sherry Culhane. That Aquanet flames up like a nuke bomb. I'll tell you what. Whoosh! Yeah, I guess you're right there, Jay. And smoking is bad for you. It's lighting them is definitely bad.
Don't smoke; it's bad for you.
Well, Eye of the Tiger told us that it's smoking is bad for us.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's okay.
And so after that he went on to say about the 4 suspicious clue to him. What he found most concerning was the fact of how Teresa was killed in so many different ways. So the fact that 1 minute she was being stabbed, then she had like a haircut, and then she was shot, and then she had a throat slit, and she was punched.
And no blood, all the blood.
No DNA, no hairs, no nothing. Nothing was found. And obviously that to him was very questionable.
Right. Did anybody ask him about 2020? Like now he knows and what he knew then? I mean, is it like he could go, you know what? I thought that then and bam, boom, I was right. You know what I mean? We can get to that, but that just popped in my head. I'm sorry. I'm making you go all over the place. Linda, come.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, he was just basically saying how there was no blood on the bed, no cast off, because he said he's never seen, you know, a crime scene where all that has supposedly happened with absolutely zero DNA evidence.
DNA.
So like no cast off blood on the ceiling, on the walls.
And it was a massacre. I mean, she was cut up.
Yeah, she was.
I mean, there's got to be blood everywhere.
Stabbed, she was shot, she'd had a head, she was punched, she was raped. Oh, she was handcuffed to the bed. Feet were shackled to the bed with handcuffs, and there were no marks.
What did he think about the DNA cleanup? I mean, when the state said they cleaned it up, what did he say about that? There's no way anybody could clean that up.
Yeah, he mentioned that because he said there was absolutely, even after 4 months of searches, and there was just no physical evidence. He said they ripped up the carpets. He said they pulled the paneling off the walls and still found nothing. And the same with the garage. The hammerjacks, is that how you say it? Is it hammer?
Jackhammers. Hammerjack is fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's jackhammer. Yeah. It's okay. Your English the UK is coming out in you.
See, I'm just.
You're just being Jane, and we love you, so don't worry about it.
I'm very ditzy.
Hey, you're on low budget Linda, productions here. What the heck you want? You got no red carpet, no limo to get you here, so just do your thing.
Lol. Yeah, and so there was nothing, no scratches on the bedpost, on the head, nothing, absolutely nothing.
Well, go ahead.
No, go on. What was you going to say?
I just can't understand why he didn't say that more in court. Like, where's the blood? Where, how come there's no mixture? Why they didn't, what I mean? Hammer the jackrabbit. You got it, banana man. They told you to watch out for your eyebrows.
I knew that's why I said it first.
There, guys. There you go.
Before anyone in, because
that owes you. You owe me. You got to come on the show now because I teased her about her eyebrows.
I knew there would be. I knew it'd come up about my eyebrows.
Because you were going up in flame.
Yeah, because then yeah.
You look smashing, dear. Don't let them boys.
I don't. I just
It's just fun. It's just boys having fun.
Yeah. Well, these eyebrows cost me £250.
Huh? Is that a lot of money?
Yeah.
Does it? I don't know what 250 pounds is. What's that like on $200, $250?
No, it's probably about $450. I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know what I don't know.
For your eyebrows?
Yeah.
Damn, girl, what'd you do?
Tattooed. Well, they do need threading.
They threaded them?
No, they're tattooed, but I'm saying they do need threading at the moment.
Oh, you mean you tattooed them on? So you don't never have. I didn't know that. They look fabulous.
Thank you.
They look real. You guys stick it. They look real.
I have still got my own because I've got very thick hair and they are very thick. Oh, yeah.
You look beautiful. I didn't know they were a tattoo. I thought maybe you went and got your threaded or plucked or something for $450.
Yeah, no.
Did it hurt? No. That must have hurt.
No.
I don't have none. Because my hair is blonde or whatever. They're going away. When you get old, you lose everything. I swear to God. You lose everything. Your eyebrows, your mind, your ability to think straight.
Yeah.
Like I just went off track. It's like, Linda, choo-choo train. Oh, squirrel.
Oh, yeah, there you go. $322.20.
For eyebrows?
That must be what he's saying. That must be what the exchange rate is.
Well, that's tattooed though. I mean, that is something. That's like permanent. So I guess, I've never paid that much for a tattoo and I got a few of them, but
I've got, no, neither have I.
Yeah. No. So, well, it's because it's probably on your face and everything else. I don't know. But anyway, off of her eyebrows now. You covered it, guys. I don't want to see no more in the chat. And one of you has got to come up here for that crap. No,
I know.
Hi, Red Room.
I know. Okay. So.
Anyway, back to sweaty, I'm reading Dr. Sluckman's thing. Sweaty some. make a mistake with A23. Did he talk about any evidence like that? Did he like pick out like I seen
no
rule? Is that okay? So he didn't go into individual.
Not that I can remember, or not that I can recall. He didn't. I don't think he specifically said.
Did he speak about the blood vial?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Spill the tea, girl.
It is a bit further on. I mean, I can go to that now if you want.
You can do whatever you want. You can tell me to shut up. I'll do my shut up.
The part about the blood vial in the documentary, he doesn't like that part of the documentary. He says he's embarrassed every time he watches it
because it's a red letter day.
That's the one. That's the bit. Yeah. But he did actually say that obviously, and again, I'm going over stuff people already know, but it's just.
And so what? There's new people
saying about. So he said, obviously, the blood vial again was very suspicious because it was found in a box, in an unopened box, just on a, in piles of documents.
Right.
In a
broken thing. Right.
And he said it was unsealed. And he said, usually if they go in there to take it for evidence, it would have to be resealed with the date on. And the seal was broken. Not only was the seal broken, there was obviously the pin.
Right. The pinhole, but which is put in there, we all know, because purple.
Then he also said blood in between the glass and the stopper.
Now that is breaking the seal because it's a vacuum, and when you put the blood in, it sucks it down to the bottom. And when you take it out, it seals enough to where it doesn't out. And when you pull that top off, it all comes off, and that's when it'll come up. Otherwise, you can tip that vial. I've done it. I've seen it. You can tip it after they're done, and no blood will go between the glass and the stopper that I have ever seen. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I really don't know for sure, but what I have seen, that's never happened. We'd have to ask Dr. Silkman for that for sure, because he would know, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so that's obviously what he found suspicious. And then the fact, obviously, that the clerk's office is in the sheriff's department and all the sheriffs have passkeys so they can go in and out as they please.
Right. He finds that a little too coincidental, all that stuff.
A little too coincidental. And also, at the time, and I think I can't remember now, but he said that when that, and I think it was on the documentary, now I think about it, but he said because obviously Norm Garn was there with him when they had to go and look at the vial. And Norm Garn said, well, this is a game changer.
Yeah, he brought it up first.
Yeah. And he was very, he was like a bit taken back of it. Yeah. I think more because of the seal was broken and the blood between the glass and the stopper.
Right.
So
that looks suspicious. You know what I'm saying? It everything that what I'm getting at is that so far, what I'm getting from it is that everything we've seen and questioned, he has too.
It's questionable. That's exactly what they thought was questionable.
Right. Well, that's good. Then I don't feel like we're, going down wrong rabbit holes then.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
And, yeah.
And Sue kind of asked a good question. And she said, because of all the findings now that have come up, obviously the bones, the CD, all the findings that have come since, she said, would he try the case again? And does he think he'd win? And he said, yes, he would try the case again. And yes,
he would win.
He would stand a better chance with all the evidence that is now that they now have.
Well, hindsight's 2020, so yeah. And I'm sure he probably has some regrets of things he didn't do. But I mean, that's the course of being a lawyer. You don't know everything. You are trying, to dig into something. And I mean, I kind of can get it. I mean, when I was watching it, I have to be honest, I thought they were a bunch of faboons. I'm sorry, I don't mean it in a really bad way, but when I watched the show, I thought, why aren't you guys doing this and why aren't you doing that? But digging in and seeing how they were, you know, it made it, you know, how the courts treated them. It made it a little more easier for me to kind of like the guys. You know, they did the best they could.
Yeah, and I think that's what he sort of said that where was it? I found it before, and then there was a mountain of discovery to get through when they came onto the case. There was, you know, thousands and thousands of pages of discovery, which is a lot to get through.
Yeah, because they didn't have a long time, though, did they? When they got on it, they really didn't have a long time. See, I think the state kind of planned that too, if you ask me. You know, here comes their lawyers. Let's hurry up. You know, I mean, because the state had like what, almost a year or something. What was it? That it was like a very long time. They had before Stephen got his lawyer and everything. They were all digging into it. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a disadvantage for sure.
Paul mentioned something about, did he talk about apple pie? No, he didn't.
Apple pie.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but no, he didn't. He didn't.
Well, Paul, he remembers like the strangest things, you know. He'll pick out things that are like, no, everybody else just kind of passes by. So I'm sure.
I bet Paul would be able to sit here and tell you, boom, 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 what he said, where I'm having to look at notes because
it doesn't matter to me. Come on,
I sit there and I listen and I'm scribbling down. And then the next day, you know.
Why weren't they able to test all the blood stains in the RV, in the RAV? Did he say? He didn't say?
No, there was something about, now, see, when people mention things, I remember certain things.
I'm going to keep a check.
Yeah, just let me have a look.
Go right ahead.
Let me have a look because
do.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure, or maybe I didn't write it down then, but he did mention. See, this is. I'm sure he mentioned something about the blood stains, and I can't remember.
We did talk about the Q-tip, but.
Yeah, he did talk, that, but I think the question was, what was the question again?
Why didn't they test all the blood stains in the RAV?
In the RAV. I'm sure he did touch upon that. I can't. Maybe
that's
I didn't.
Okay. You can, if it comes to you, you can just pop in and say it. You know what I mean? That's fine. I just, you know, I was just asking because JN asked.
Yeah. It might be something.
That's okay. Move on to your next subject there, girl.
Yeah, okay. So so he talked. Where were we up to?
Did he mention, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know where you're at.
I'm gonna turn over. So we talked about lots of all used. About then he showed the clip of Brendan's confession.
Okay.
Obviously is always hard to watch, and he talked about how they decided not to show the last part of the confession where he recants.
I want to know that.
And he was saying, you know, so many times about it. Basically, we know, but how this poor, it just I can't even talk about it because it just upsets me. But this poor lad's just admitted to rape and murder. And then he's asking, can I go back, you know, can I go back to school? I've got an assignment due. And how he just wasn't even, he just didn't even understand what he just admitted to.
Did he blame the Reid technique or?
Yeah, he did. So he talked about the Reid technique and how we don't use it in the UK anymore.
I don't believe. I kind of think we're weeding it out in the United States too. I don't think we use it that much anymore. I don't know, but I don't think we do.
But yeah, so he talked about how they use the read technique and how Fassbender. So before you see the March 1st confession, where did they interview him before the March 1st confession? And this is where Fassbender was using what Jerry...
at Fox Hills?
I don't think it was Fox Hills. I think they just went in. He was talking about how they go to school and they pretend, they sort of say, oh,
I was looking out the field.
Parents. So they contacted, they contact the parents, but obviously if they're at work or whatever. So they're like, oh yeah, well, we've done our bit. Come on, let's take you down to the police station. And then they used what Jerry calls as the false friend technique, where Fassbender was pretending to be, I'm a cop, but I'm like your father right now.
Yeah, giving him false, yeah.
Yeah, and how it's just how they're allowed to be just taken from school like that.
Yeah, and they're one of the states that allows them to be interrogated without their parent. Did he say that too? Because I know it goes state by state. Did he mention that, or he didn't say much about it?
He was kind of saying they'll say, oh, they'll go to the school and say, oh, well, we've tried to contact the parents, and then that's good, that's good enough.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Brendan's a donut. Just makes me sad.
It does. It's so sad. It's just, it's really sad. Yeah. So then he talked about how that Brendan 75 times said he denied it. 75 times.
That's a lot of times to say.
It is a lot. And because of his because of how Brendan is, and because of, I don't like saying low intelligence, but
well, he does have a low learning skills.
Because of his learning disability.
His comprehension is very, very young for his age. He doesn't comprehend like normal kids his age. He doesn't
understand like sort of words that we would use, and that what they mean, and so.
Yeah, he had to have somebody sit right next to him to explain what a teacher was doing. So, yeah, how is he going to know what these guys are, yeah. So they took total advantage of him, is what he's saying.
Yeah, total advantage of it. Absolutely.
That's what he's saying. In his nice way, he's saying that, yeah.
Yeah, and then, so what happened was they found, when they found the cranium bone, so that's the one in the head, that's where they needed Brendan to confess that she'd been shot in the head. So obviously he sat there and he went over and over, and they were asking him, well, what did they do to the head? And obviously he talked about how he didn't know. He was just guessing. He was sat, so he showed a little clip.
Okay.
Of just that little one clip of how he kept saying, oh, well, she had a haircut and she was punched, we punched her. And
well, that comes from Kiss the Girls.
Yes,
which we know.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
And somebody asked that question actually, because somebody asked the question of did anybody actually look into the fact that
he could have got it.
Said he got it from the book. Now, you've read the book, haven't you, Linda?
No, I've seen the show.
Oh,
remember I came on and I said, oh, it's on. And you had to go watch it.
Oh, I watched it on Netflix as well. Yep. And I'd never seen the film. Now, I can understand where Brendan reading that book, I can understand where he got, the
hair cutting,
where the girl's hair had been cut,
and all the kitchen knives.
Yeah, and the kitchen knives, and where the girls were handcuffed to the bed and chained with the feet.
And
so
cut in the stomach.
I can absolutely believe that Brendan's read that, and then when he's trying to guess things, he's referring back to this book.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
Yeah,
and I know how you felt when you seen the show and I seen the show. I was like, I totally could see where he got that.
Yeah, I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
And because for someone of his intelligence, when he's trying to think of things and they're pressing him for answers, and he doesn't know because he wasn't there. We absolutely know he wasn't there.
Exactly.
And they're trying to they need him. They need him to say, "Oh, she was shot in the head." Yeah. And of course, in the end, they say it for him, don't they?
Yes, they do. Who shot her in the head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
was that his damning thing? Was that the damning? That was the.
Yeah. Go
ahead.
I would say so. Yeah. And so he talked about how, when people had seen the documentary, how he's had thousands of emails and phone calls from mothers and teachers saying that, oh, I've got a son like Brendan, and how it was wrong what they did to him. So, since he's had lots of, mothers, teachers, he's had emails and phone calls talking about, how, because I think, and he said it as well, how a lot of people watching Making a Murderer, it's Brendan that, not people, but some people do feel most for Brendan.
Right.
Because I know it was Brendan for, not just Brendan, because obviously Stephen as well, but because of him being so young and so vulnerable. So
sorry, dog's barking. That's why I had to mic myself. I'm still listening, sweetie. I'm still here.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So then, like I say, he said about how the jury didn't see the recantation at the end, which they should have done. They should have seen the end. Well, they should have seen all of it, really.
Right. I agree with you.
And luckily, if it wasn't because it was only the 6 months before that it became mandatory for juveniles to be recorded at the police station.
Okay.
So, or else we would have never seen that confession.
Yeah. It's quiet.
And they just thought how it was just so overkill because him and Dean just said that the confession was just overkill. And then the fifth thing he found most surprising, and he said he spoke to so many sort of forensic anthropologists. Yeah. How there were no pictures of the bones. Now, Jerry did say that there was 50% of the bones found, which I was like, oh, because I thought it was only about 30% of the bones that were found. Because that's why he does state that he truly believes it was Teresa, and he truly believes that they were, hers. Because from the alleles that were tested, there was enough for him to believe that it was Teresa. But when he did say about the 50%, I thought that was too much. I thought they would found less, but hey, I could be wrong. But I thought it was a lot less. And obviously then he went on to talk about the pelvis in the quarry. And how that they argued that the bones had been moved, but again, the state had no explanation as to why they'd been moved. Because why would you burn someone in your backyard and then go and dump them?
Yeah.
So
How much did he say how much was there that he said was found?
But
50%? I thought it was 23%.
Well, I thought it was 30.
Okay. Well, somewhere in between there, yeah.
But I didn't think it was 50%.
No, I didn't either.
So I don't know. So
I don't know. I'm gonna check it out because I want to make sure.
No, Jerry, you're wrong. You know, I wasn't gonna heckle him.
Yeah.
But I did think it was.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
you're wrong. Yeah, I read something different.
Yeah, no, I certainly was not gonna start calling him out and saying he was wrong.
I blame you. Not one bit.
Yeah, but again, he said like the state had no explanation of when he brought up about them being moved. There was just, you know, nothing.
Yeah,
nothing at all from them.
Sure, dead silence, nothing.
And like I say, Jerry said he spoke to lots of different people, all kinds of professionals, who said that you don't just not take pictures just for the sake of it. The only reason that you wouldn't take photographs if there was something sinister going on.
Yeah, I don't understand. He found it real strange. There's no pictures. There's selective pictures. You know, I mean, especially the most important things. Come on.
Yeah. So, Scott Fairgrave was one of the people he spoke about.
And I'm sorry, but
in the trial.
Oh,
so I can't think of his. Scott. I've got Scott Fairgrave written down where it says about the evidence of the photographs and everything. So I think he was. Paul says 40. Good enough for me. Oh, it could be 40 then.
No, Chad, I didn't notice that. Sorry, Jane. No, I didn't notice that. But come on, guys. This is not the place, okay? I didn't notice. I was just laughing.
Right, well, we'll just carry on.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the blood vial. So we've talked about that. Oh, and then he, going back to the blood vial, he was saying about no EDTA. The detection, that's where the lady got, who I can't remember her name, stood up in trial, one of his experts. And she said that
Eisenberg or whatever her name's.
No, that was the state.
Oh, okay. Oh, his expert. Okay.
Yeah, Jerry's expert.
Yeah, okay.
And said there was not enough it wasn't enough detectable to test.
To test, right.
Yeah. The detection limit, yeah.
Well, because Dr. Silkman has said that, and I know it to be true too, that EDTA does, you know, throughout time goes away, you know, so 9-year-old blood, it might not have even been any in there, just like they say, to detect, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So how the other one could come up there and say, well, yes, there was none in there. Yeah. Well, that's because, you know, that's old blood.
Just a bullshit test.
Yeah, but I don't think it was, they got the blood from there anyway. I think they got the goddamn blood from the car, you know, or his sink. I don't know. The sink sounds a little far-fetched. The car sounds a little bit easier to me. I don't know. So, I'm just thinking quick and easy, you know. I don't know. But I'm not a killer, so I don't really know.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Someone's Janine. Yes, that's it. Her. Janine. It's gone again.
Janine Arvizu. Vizu.
Yeah. Yes.
It's ARVIZU.
Cherie.
Okay. Thank you, Ru.
Thank you. Yeah, so all my notes are all over the place here because this bit is about how apparently Teresa used to keep the RAB very clean.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no chemicals detected. So when it was swabbed and everything, there was no
bleach or cleaning. Wow.
No.
So and
3 out of the 6 stains of the blood stains,
right,
tested to a reasonable degree of certainty. So 3 out of 6 of the blood stains in the RAV.
That turned out to be Stevens.
No, it just no.
They only were able to test and get anything off of. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah. I think that goes back to the question somebody asked before. I knew I had it somewhere. I knew it somewhere. Then he went on just basically to talk about the present statuses of both cases, which obviously we all know, you know. Then he talked about his Denny suspects, and obviously how he wasn't able to bring any, but his two of his Denny suspects were Bobby and Scott, because and the reason he couldn't use and like I said before, I was right, because he couldn't give a motive for them, so they weren't allowed to use them. But Bobby and Scott were there. He had I think he had about 11 Denny, was it 11? I think he had about 11 Denny suspects, and Bobby and Scott were their main Denny suspects, just because they alibied each other. They couldn't, so
that is, they alibied for each other, and also testified against Stephen. And with them alibying against each other and testifying against him, it was a sure shot that they were going to be believed. Exactly. So, did he name anybody else?
No.
Did he name Ryan? Shit.
No, he didn't. No.
I wonder why he doesn't think it would be Ryan. I don't know. I still think it was an happenstance that came across him.
Ryan probably was one of his, because I know there was I'm sure there was about 10 or 11, because I've looked at when I was reading the court transcripts, I've read that there was about 10 or 11.
Wow, that's a lot. And
they weren't allowed to name any of them.
Not one. That's, know, it's too bad they couldn't go, I always wondered why, just because they couldn't name a Denny suspect, why they couldn't go out and investigate to see if maybe there was a better chance of getting somebody else arrested. You know what I mean? But I don't know if they are allowed to do that or not, but it kind of makes sense to me. But
and a lot of the times he's asked the question, and I know it was Sue that asked it last time when we went to, and it was asked again this time, but they said, is there anything that you would do differently? And he said that while he does believe in the jury system, and that if he was to do anything different, he may have taken it out of Manitowoc, because obviously Brendan had his case in Dane County.
Yeah.
But that's just where it was picked for Brendan. But he said if he had a do-over, if he would do anything differently, basically, he would maybe not have done it at Manitowoc. But it didn't make a difference for Brendan, so would it have made a difference for Stephen?
Yeah. So basically what he's saying is Brendan was besides Bobby and Scott with theirs, which might have been able to, they could have maybe did something with, but Brendan was the sure seal of it, even though they weren't, they were tried separate trials, same murder. Kratz says one man did it and two men go to prison. What did he say anything about that? No,
I don't.
He's really kind of hard for him to answer any, really, because it's still going to court. It's still in appeal, and he probably is going to be called. I mean, let's just face it. He's going to, So, Dr. Silkman's in here. Dr. Silkman, the purple topped tube, correct me if I'm wrong, when you insert the blood into it, it's a vacuum seal. It has EDT on the bottom. It goes through the top. You take it off, it's still vacuum sealed. The only way that blood would get around in between the glass and the seal would be to remove the seal. Am I correct or not? I remembered. I can't even believe I remembered to ask that.
it was asked the question that everybody wants to know of, other than photographs, had he actually seen the Rav?
And his answer?
And he has seen the Rav, and it was, what color was it? And he said
blue green.
Yeah, blue green.
No.
Blue green. He said basically it's in the eye of the, in your own eye. It's how, he said, in different lights, it's different colors. He said it just depends. He said it's like if you've seen the white gold dress. Some people see it gold, some people see it white, and some people see the Rav blue, some people see it green. He said, but to him, seeing it there, he thought it was like a blue-green color.
Yeah. See, well, I've seen, like, because that was my obsession, was the Rav. It was, well, still kind of my obsession, but not really like it used to be. But I've seen the same vehicle, same color, right down the street from me when I got back from rally. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me see. So, and it didn't have no engine in it. So I went up to it and I looked at it. Well, it looked green. Okay. But this was a day that was cloudy. There was no sun. The next day I come out, the thing is still there. I look, it looked blue-green. It did have a very bright, it had a blue, it looked blue. Yeah. I'm telling you, in the sun, it looked like blue, and in the shade, it looked green. So I do believe it's the paint and the lighting. I mean, I don't know if it's still at the same Rav or not. I have no idea. But the coloring, I would think that's changing by the sun. And that's hard for me to admit. But, So that's one good thing.
Yeah.
And the FBI... fresh swabs, including, okay. Dr. Silkman must not have heard my question. Okay, Dr. Silkman, if you are here and you're hearing me, the purple top tube, when you put the blood in, it's vacuum sealed with the EDT in it. You can shake it, you can do all kinds of things, but no blood is going to get between the glass and the stopper, correct? Unless it's removed. Now I'll wait again. I don't mind. This takes a while for chat. They might be writing and put it up and they think it's, I can read it, but it's so slow here,
Yeah. So, and then
I believe you, Crockett. Yes. Vacuum sealed top was removed. Thank you. I just wanted to make that clear. And thank you, Crockett. I believe you too, because you're a very good researcher. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so and then it was nearing towards the end, and he did just sort of talk to the students about becoming a defense lawyer. Not that he had much time, because he he talked a lot.
Yeah, he ran over. You got a little extra time anyway.
But it was really interesting, because when it's something you're sort of like me, kind of obsessed with it, and you just kind of sat there and all thinking, oh, you were actually there, you went through it, So yeah, it was a great chat. Great evening.
What did you learn, and anything different from the last time? Because he comes to Minneapolis a lot, and I never ever thought about going to see him. I don't know why.
Oh, sure.
But I will when he comes, because
it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. I like I said, I got a link down in the description that it's Jerry Buting, and it's of last year. It's not that old. And it sounds like a lot like what he talks about with when you guys went and seen him. It really does. So it would be great for, if you can't go see him, check out that YouTube or that video down there from Georgetown University and Jerry Buting. And he's being interviewed, and he says a lot of things there. I found it very interesting. I really, really did. So is there anything else you need? I'm on your little list.
No, I think that I've got to the end of it now. I think it was just questions. Then he had like a sheet where people had written down questions, and then the guy picked certain ones, to ask him.
Yeah. And no drinks afterwards. No.
No.
No going out and getting drunk with Jerry, right?
We went up to him afterwards, and we had a picture with him, but there was a big queue, so we did. And because it had ran over, I was getting picked up, so my lift was outside. So although I would have stayed longer and spoken to him, I couldn't, because
but you guys are on first name basis anyway. You guys are in the Twitter feed.
We spoke to him, and we were at the front. We were first, like, literally getting our pictures taken, but we just didn't have much time. Not because last time we saw him and we had a good chat with him.
That's good.
And he was more than happy to come and chat with us.
Yeah. Diane, sorry you weren't there, honey. She says I wasn't there.
No, Di wasn't this time.
Yeah.
She was last time though.
Yeah. And then you guys had seen Stacy after they seen him last year, didn't you? And then when you guys were visiting with Stacy?
October, November, we saw Stacy. He came over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's lovely, Stacy. I love Stacy.
Yeah. Yeah. Who don't? I love him too. He's great music maker. We got a lot of great people that we talk to on a daily. And, you know, we joke around a lot and everything else. But I mean, I really appreciate every single one of you. I really appreciate you sharing your paid, ticket paid to go see, and came and shared it with us. You know, it's wonderful. If I get a chance to see him in Minnesota, I definitely am going to do it.
Definitely go and see him.
Yeah, and everybody, I really appreciate you. I've made 800 subs, and I want to thank you so much. I mean, I'm so happy. I am so happy. I cannot believe it. I never thought I'd even get 8, but
we will get you 2,000.
I don't care if I really get monetized. It's just the fact that I can't believe 800 people would really want to listen to me. They're not. They're listening to you and all of you out there. So thank you so much for your time, Jane. I had a wonderful time. As always, I love you to death.
I love you too.
Thank you, everybody who showed up. Eric Banana Man, thank you so much for making your presence. And Chad and Eye of the Tiger and everybody else, Diane, Rule, Crockett, Cinnabar, Hazel, Sue, Jones, Sean, Rule, Sherry, let me see, Chad, I said you already. I don't know if I missed any. Kevin, Tracy, Dr. Stokeman.
You're welcome, Chad. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And to my wonderful guest. Oh, Carl, don't forget you. Everybody have a wonderful stay.
Up for the fact my eyebrows got mentioned.
Oh, Spooky. Thank you, Spooky. I said Hazel, right? I hope I said everybody. If I didn't, please don't hate me. I didn't mean it. I just didn't see you. But thank you for being here. Thanks, Jane. Love you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.